Last week we talked about the kingdom of God being universal in scope. Okay, we gave an example that you own a parcel of land. And on that parcel of land you have certain rules that have to be followed. Who can be on it, who can't be on it, where they can be, where they can't be. But we also realize now there's another set of rules that's universal in scope. It also applies. You know, on that parcel of land too, you can't kill, you can't commit adultery, can't steal, you can't lie. Now you as the owner may not agree with it, it doesn't matter. Because God's rules, as we know, are now universal in scope. And not just universal, we also say that they are eternal in scope. Not only do they deal with the seen, but they deal also with the unseen. And that kingdom of God, everyone, is the kingdom of truth. Where God is, there is truth, and where the truth is, there is God. Called to be about truth. Kingdom of God is also about life. Why did God make us, everyone? To follow Him. Why? So that we could be happy. I'll give you a good example. Okay? There you are at work, everyone, and what's one of the greatest things that can happen? Well, you start talking about one of your coworkers. Okay? Meanwhile, you're talking about your coworker, but in the back of your mind, you're also sitting there wondering, well, what if they're right behind me? What if they're there? Or else you talk about them and you turn around and there they are. Uh-oh. Now, you get what we're saying here. Why did God make us? To follow Him. Why? So that we could be happy. You know, if you follow the way of God, you're not going to be... You don't have to worry about any of that. It's not in the back of your mind. You don't care if they're back here because you're not doing this stuff. And that's God's life. Universal and eternal in scope. But sometimes, everyone, we do blow it. Okay? And I promise this week that I take up the topic of the sins in our lives that we just have a difficult time forgiving ourselves of. It's a very tough topic. Hey, but I'm going to delve into it today and hopefully give us a greater understanding of what can be done. Because there are things that can be done. First of all, the damage of sin. The damage of it. Okay? Just throw out a typical illustration. One of you owns a store. Father Schuster walks in, I'm thirsty. So I go to the cooler and I pull out a water. Okay? And as I walk by the sandwiches, I also realize I'm kind of hungry. So I pull out a sandwich. Now the only problem is, okay, I only have enough to buy either the sandwich or the water. So what do? Well, I decide I'm going to have the best of both worlds. Okay, I'll pay for the water or the sandwich I'm going to throw in my pocket. Okay, so I go up to you who owns the store. I pay for the water. Okay? You don't say anything. I walk out the store and I'm home free, right? Well, wouldn't you know it, they're outside the door. There the police are. They're waiting for me. And they say, I want you to empty your pockets. So I empty my pocket. Sure enough, there's a sandwich. There you are, the store owner, everyone, and you're just like this. And, can you blame him? I mean, here is a priest who is taken right from underneath you. Okay, but think about just how bad this gets, okay? It is fascinating how one of the most well-read pieces of the paper is the local police report. Especially, you know, if you're going to be in it. Okay? But there it is. Police report, 8:36 a.m. this day. Police were called. Peter L. Schuster, arrested for stealing. And all of a sudden, it just gets around town. People, do you see what... Look at what happens. God's involved. You're the owner of the store. You're involved. Everybody knows. I'm involved. It's just a mess. So I said, why did God make us to follow Him? Why? So that we could be happy. Okay? To follow God, you don't have to worry about this. Okay, but there it is, everybody. You're going around town. You see people, and you're thinking, what are they saying about me? I can't get away from anybody because I got my collar on. You can't. I can't. Okay, so they know automatically who you are. Okay? So all of a sudden, there you sit, deep down inside, and you're saying, jeepers, how in the world am I going to get out of this? Okay? How do I forgive myself? Some thoughts on that today. Number one, sometimes you have to have the courage to go up to the person that you hurt and say, I'm sorry. Okay? It is hard. It is difficult. Go up to the owner of the store and say, you know something, I'm sorry, and make amends for it. Pay the difference. Now, I know sometimes when we go up and we forgive somebody, we can cause more harm. But that doesn't mean that we just let it go. Okay? What we can certainly do is, if it's been years ago and the person's already died, is we make a profound promise to that person to say this, I will never do it again. Their image pops up in front of you. It's a reminder. And you say, I'm sorry, and I will never do it again, and move on from it. Don't let the image tear you down. Don't let it beat you up. It's done. It's over. I'm sorry. I won't do it again, and move on. But if you get a chance, make amends. You'd be amazed at a relationship that can happen when you do that. Okay? Yes, there's hurt there, but all of a sudden they see someone with courage who has the power to come up and say, I'm sorry. They have the gall to stand on what they believe and what they teach. Okay? All right? You forgive them, and finally you can say, I have let it go. I have done what I can do. Okay? Not easy. But we always say this, the high road is rarely an easy road. Second thing you need to do, you've got to take it to God. It goes beyond this idea of simply saying, closing the door, God, I'm sorry, and I feel forgiven, because you do not. You do not. You don't. Right? Keep coming back to this, people, because it's a false theology to a point. Because I could sit here and say, okay, that thing that you've done, I want you to do this. Stay here 12 hours, tell God you're sorry, and when I come back, I want to know if you really feel forgiven or at peace. And you know what? You will not. That is why God gave us something, a sacrament, because he knew what we try will not work. God gave it to us. We didn't make it up. We have to go in there. We have to say it. And only then can we hear the words, I forgive you, and be at peace. Difficult work, yes. But again, high road doesn't mean it's easy. But if you really want to be at peace with God and let it go, that's what God gave us. This isn't a fabrication, people, to keep priests busy. God knew how we worked, and he gave us a sacrament. Okay? Again, our communal reconciliation Advent is this coming Tuesday, 5:30 here. If you don't want to even come to me, fine. That's why we have other priests available. But confess it, hear the words you're forgiven, and move on from it. Okay? Okay, you can come up to me, though, and say, Father, I've done them both. Okay? But I haven't been able to forgive myself. I understand that. Let's look at that today. 3 thoughts. Number 1, think about a basketball game. Basketball is fast-paced. Things happen quick. Okay? I have yet to see anyone play a perfect basketball game. There are missed shots, there are turnovers, and there are fouls. By the way, this is interesting when we talk about this idea of I can't forgive myself. Did you ever wonder why in basketball there is a rule that you actually get 5 fouls? Not 1. The rule makers realized that we're going to make mistakes. Okay? Gave you a chance, 5, and then you're out. But it's more than 1. 2, 3, 4. Okay? You can't play a perfect game. But you know what the good ones are able to do? They're able to make a mistake and put it behind them, and they also learn things quickly. You know, if the person before you got around you by going to the right and going down you to the left, kind of deked you out, the next time, if you're good, you adjust. The spiritual life is the same way. Things happen fast. Life is fast. All of you, if I went around and said, is life that? Yes! Can't believe how old I am already. Because everybody, and in that you have to realize, because life is fast, we have to make choices sometimes that are fast. Most of the time I pray they're good, but we all make bad choices. It's life. It's life. But you know what made the saints holy? Is they learned from their mistakes and didn't do it again. Okay? They did something, they learned from it and said, not again. That's what made them holy people. People, God realizes we're not going to be perfect. God knows that. That's why He gave us the sacrament. Okay? So if God realizes it, be cool with yourself a little bit. Be cool. Okay. Thought number 2, spiritual thought. You know something? Anytime we get into this, my opinion versus God's opinion is very treacherous spiritual territory. God gave us the first commandment. Here it is. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not have strange gods before me. If we say, my opinion of not being able to forgive myself supersedes that of God who has forgiven me, then you know what we make ourselves? False gods greater than God. Okay? God forgave me. Can't forgive myself. I'm greater than God. No, we're not. If God can forgive, we got to forgive ourselves too. How do we do that a little bit more? Here's a third thought. You know that sin, everyone, that you sit inside and it growls and churns at you and you say, you know something, I can't forgive myself, it's terrible. Yeah, it's a sin. We'll never throw that out. Okay, a sin is a sin. It's a bad choice. But I want to say this. From now on, think about it this way. It is an unremarkable sin. Too many times people think my sin is the worst sin that's ever been committed. No. You come to me and tell me about it, and I'll point to you where it's been done before, and I guarantee it will happen again. It is unremarkable. We make it remarkable. Look at the Bible. Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, Noah and the ark, David, Bathsheba, Peter, Judas Iscariot. It's unremarkable. Happened before. Okay? And if it's unremarkable, then I ask people this. If somebody came up to you struggling to forgive themselves, what would you tell them? You'd probably tell them something like this. Did you take it to God? Yeah. Did God forgive you? Yes. Okay? Did you take it to the person? Did they forgive you? Yes. You would probably say something like this. Hey, I forgive you too. Get back on your feet. Get moving again. See how you'd say something kind? Then why? If that is what we would say to one person, when it comes to ourselves, do we say the opposite? We lie to ourselves. To one we say, be kind. To ourselves we say, I can't be kind. We contradict ourselves and we lie. And you know what? That is the devil. The devil is the one that doesn't want you to say, be good to yourself. Think about that, everyone. Why we would say something good to somebody else, but we just beat ourselves up. It doesn't make a bit of sense. You got to change that. Okay? So think about that. Okay, it isn't as big as it is. It's remarkable, but not unremarkable. Okay? In that kind of thought. Okay? Think about it that way and watch what you say, because it's the devil who wants you to say, you're terrible, you're bad, there is no hope there. Stop that. And think about what you would say to another person and use those words on yourself. Okay? Those are some thoughts that I offer you today, and I hope they are somewhat thought-provoking for you. Remember, everyone, the kingdom of God is life. We are to give life. Seek forgiveness, be forgiving, and whatever we do, everyone, be forgiving of ourselves. Where you find that, you find the kingdom of God. Okay? So let's remember that, everyone. Be life. Give life. Whatever you do, forgive yourself. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. Okay? God's blessings, everyone, and happy Advent.